friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about something exciting, and that is cheap books. I mean, cheap books. It's the best, right? Okay, so today I'm focusing on thrift store books. And thrift store books, a lot of people are hesitant to go into a thrift store or like a Goodwill, Salvation Army, those type of places and look for books. Why? So for starters, in my area, at least, there's two type of thrift stores. There's the Salvation Army Goodwill stores, and then there are actual like standalone thrift stores that are not chained, so they're not franchised. So their prices vary. Goodwill prices are $3 for hardbacks, any hardbacks. If it has a hardcover, it is $3. If it has a paperback, it is $1. And I believe the children books are 2 for $1. I've never bought children's books from a Goodwill, but that's the price. So some thrift stores have like a set price no matter what. And some thrift stores I really love have fluctuating prices. And I'll get into that in a little bit. So I want to go ahead and just say from the get-go that you really kind of need some time if you're going to go to a thrift store looking in their book section. I spend a lot of time in bookstores as it is, so going into a thrift store is just like a whole new ball game because there is going to be a lot to go through. It is going to be unorganized, it's going to be messy, it's going to be out of order. There's no rhyme or reason how they file these things. They just take books from the back and they put it on a shelf, and then they remove that shelf and put it to the back, and then they bring out new books that they have. They are just inundated with books, and they're always like shifting them in or out. So the first tip is if you find a book that you want and you have gone through the steps that I'm going to give you in a little bit, go ahead and snag it up, because if you leave it there and hope to come back in a week or so, it's probably not going to be there. If you're willing to take some time to sift through these books, deal with the unorganization, and just maybe find some different type of books, then definitely check out your thrift store. They do divide it a little bit. They usually, or at least in my Goodwills locally, they have pretty much the hardcovers in one section, the paperbacks in another, and the children's in another. But you will find hardbacks in the paperbacks, and you will find paperbacks in the hardbacks, but they do their best. There's just so many books and it's not organized, so how are they ever supposed to get it like totally organized? I sometimes do find myself removing paperbacks and walking it over to the paperbacks and putting it in the paperbacks. So, you know, and I do find ARCs, and I always bring those up the counter and I'm like, yeah, you're not allowed to sell this. And then they just say they're going to leave it in their break room. If you are willing to take the time to sift through some books, you might find some gems. And the first thing I suggest you doing is just do like a once over. Check for authors you really love, books that you're looking for. I prefer hardback, so I always check the hardback section first, and then I check the paperback section. If you're looking for like Harry Potter books, like the hardcovers, I usually find those in the children's section. So you check the children's section if you're looking for that. So definitely check in sections that you're not looking for. Like if you're looking for paperbacks, just scan the hardbacks to make sure there's no paperbacks thrown in there. If you're looking for hardback books, check the paperback section and just scan through there to see. So just do kind of like a once over. And then I usually take it shelf by shelf, and then I start scanning from there. It does take a little bit of time, but it's really worth it because sometimes books are laid down, or the spine isn't showing, or maybe it's missing the dust jacket. You don't mind not having the dust jacket. Sometimes there's books behind, so you just have to check for that. Let's say that you find a book on the shelf and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I want that book. Here are some things that I suggest you do. I suggest you removing the book from the shelf. If it's like a hardback book, you know, take off the dust jacket. What shape is the actual book itself in? Smell it. Does it smell like mildew? Does it smell disgusting? I mean, because sometimes you get those books and it's just like, whoa. Like if you're a non-smoker and you're really sensitive to smoke, I would definitely smell the book. Sometimes you can remove some odors, and there's different tutorials out there on how to do that. But if it's a really strong smell, or if it just smells like mildew, I would pass no matter how much you want that book, because it's not going to be worth it in the long run. See if the spine is intact. See if there's any tearing or highlighting or writing, or sometimes I find really cool things in books, like bookmarks, and then if I'm getting a book, I'll stick it in the book that I'm getting. There's post-it notes sometimes. Sometimes there's stickers, and you can't like you know, like the child got a hold of the book and they're sticking stickers in it. So definitely just check the book out. Are there any ripped pages? Is there severe dog earring and you can't stand that? Some things you could forgive, like I will show you an example where a book was highlighted and I didn't really mind that, and I don't really mind dog earring because I can just like undo that, but it depends on how severe it is. Like if it's every single page, like that's gonna bother me, but if it's only like a chapter here, a chapter there, I don't mind. You will find some very strange titles, and I think these are so interesting to run across. Like I said, you will find books without dust jackets, so if that's something that bothers you, you definitely need a dust jacket. You can automatically just, you know, glaze over them, but sometimes if you don't mind them, just check that the book is still in good condition and that, you know, it's not falling apart. Sometimes you'll find books with really worn out dust jackets that are just brittle and falling apart, so if that's something that bothers you and you're not willing to just ditch the dust jacket, make sure you check that out as well. Here's where we get into the writing and highlighting. If that is something that bothers you, then definitely like flip through it a couple of times. In this book, particular book, 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson, when I found it, it was highlighted, and I actually ended up getting it for that reason because someone left their notes as they were reading the book in here, and it is highlighted as well, and it corresponded to stuff that they highlighted in the book itself, so I didn't mind that at all. This is a book that I wasn't gonna buy full price, and I got it for $1, and it originally sold at Borders for $8.99, so I picked it up for $1. It did have the highlighting, but that didn't bother me, so I went ahead and picked it up anyway. But if writing or highlighting bothers you, definitely, you know, consider that. So you can find books in a variety of conditions. You can find them highlighted in, written in. You can find ones like this Peter Pan book, Peter Pan and Wendy book that I got. It does have the dust jacket. It's in really good condition. It's the illustrated edition. It has the ribbon. It's in beautiful, absolutely beautiful condition. The cover is just stunning, and it has like this embossed. I just love it. But there is something wrong with this one. The dust jacket has this missing, it's like a sticker was on here and it ripped off some of the dust jacket. And then you can also tell from the dust jacket here, it does have a little bit of water damage, but the water damage was only on the dust jacket itself. It is not on the book. It is not on the pages. You can see that this book is in like brand new condition. There's no rounding of the corners, but look at these end papers, you guys. How pretty, right? But yeah, there's no damage to this book other than the dust jacket, and it's the illustrated edition. I paid $4 for this book. I did get this at, well, it was $3.98. So I did get this at one of the thrift stores, like non-Goodwill. But to me, this was totally worth it because it was the illustrated edition, and it would be great to read to kids. And it's just like, this is the 100 years of the novel. This is one of the editions that they put out for the 100-year like anniversary. And I really like it. And I didn't mind the little stain here, the sticker, you know, tore off the dust jacket here, and the water staining. Because you really can't tell, like, from just looking at it, that it's water damaged, except for it is like a little rippled. And like I said, it does have water damage on the dust jacket. So I was okay with that. I still wanted it. I got it. This one, of course, had the highlighting, and it had the little envelope that had the writing on it. So there's no writing in the book. It's just highlighting, and I didn't mind that at all. And then I also, this is another book. It was in fairly good condition. It was a little yellowed. Well, maybe it's not super yellow, but it is yellowed like on the edges and stuff like that, but no ripped pages, no writing, no dog-eared pages. It was definitely a book that I wanted, and I only paid 25 cents for this one. This is the thrift store that I go to that they put three prices, so just depending when you got it. When they first put things out, it's obviously the most expensive, so this book started out at 99 cents, and then a week later it went down to 45 cents, and then a week later it's at 25 cents, and they always stop at that lowest price. So when I picked up this book, I paid 25 cents, and you really can't beat that for a paperback book that you're looking to read. Find books in really good condition, such as this copy of The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. There's really nothing, I wouldn't say it's in new condition. It does have a little bending here, as you can see. There is like a little crease here. There's a little crease, I mean, but like nothing's wrong with it. There's no highlighting. There's no major damage. No writing, no highlighting, no inscriptions or anything like that. Inscriptions are another thing that you can check for if those bother you. Like I did find like a full set of Harry Potter books once, and then I looked, and then it was like they were inscribed like Merry Christmas 2004 or whatever, and I was like, ah. Here's a picture of some books that I probably would have walked out of the store with today if I felt like spending a couple of dollars, but I did not. The first book is Girls in the White Dress by Jennifer Close, and this is just a book. I was browsing the shelves. I liked the polka dots on the spine. I pulled it out. I checked it out. It was in fairly good condition. It did have the deckled edges, and deckled edges tend to get bent or a little bit, you know, like dirty, and so there was that. But the story, I read the synopsis and I started reading a little bit of it, and it sounded interesting, so I was like, hey, I might actually like this book, so I pulled it. The next one was a recipe book, and that's something I really like finding there, because recipe books can be like so expensive, but sometimes you can find some ones in really good condition with really great graphics and pictures, and that was the case with this, Recipes from the Italian Summer, and I'm just looking at the picture on my phone, but I will insert it for you. I really wanted that, and it was only $3, and it was like super thick. And then there was Mary Kay Andrews' Ladies Night. This is a book that I pulled because it was a hardback, and I have the paperback copy of that book, so this would have been like a replacement for my paperback copy. And then last but not least, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I've never read that book. I have seen the movie. These are all hardbacks because that's mainly what I like, but I did browse the paperback section. I did not browse the children's section because there was a lady in there and she was kind of like hogging the children's section. But anyway, that's an idea of things that you can look for in thrift stores. Check out your thrift stores, see what they have. Look for recipe books, look for craft books, look for alternate covers, replace your paperbacks with hardbacks. Just go with an open mind. And then if you start doing this on a regular basis, you'll start seeing some of the same titles over and over again, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this version of Cheap Books by Thrifting, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye!